Huge Nuggets free agency update. This has major implications for our next season and for the entire Euro League. Let's get into all that and more today on Nuggets Digest. Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Stuart Hicar, Colorado native, basketball fan, and also just generally a good person, the kind of guy who's not going to swipe through all the photos on your phone if you're just trying to show me one picture of your recent European vacation. Just a solid guy, someone you can trust. With that said, there is something I need to bring to your attention today. Did you know that only 6.6% of you are actually subscribed to the channel? That means 93.4% of you are missing out on some of the best gosh darn basketball analysis this side of the Continental Divide. So if you like what we do here at Nuggets Digest, hit that subscribe and like button to stay up to date with your favorite Mile High team. All right, now that is out of the way, let's talk about all the craziness going on around Russell Westbrook and the Denver Nuggets this week in the league. We've gotten a lot of interesting talk, a lot of rumors, a lot of possible changes to the roster coming up in this free agency. But again, it all centers around this guy right here, Russell Westbrook, who gave us a really great season off the bench as Nuggets fans. I think when he was in free agency last year, we were all a little bit iffy on the pickup. Nikola Jokić was one of the guys who really pushed for us to pick him up in free agency, somehow knowing that his play style could work really well with what Jokić was doing. Whether or not that's just because Jokić is a fan of Russ's game and wanted to play with him, or if he really did know how well they could fit together as teammates, who knows? But I will say, over the 24-25 season, Russ, I think, really picked it up, especially if you look at his seasons before that, where teams like the Clippers and Lakers were asking him to do things that aren't really a big part of his bag anymore. And I think he came to the Nuggets and got to do the stuff he's best at, which is all about high energy, defense, offense, running in transition, little layups, running in the post, and every now and then he hits a solid three from the corner. That's really nice. Now, every time he hits one of those threes, he's going to take 2 or 3 three-pointers that you're like, what are you doing, Russ? Please don't do that. I'm willing to put up with those in the regular season if it means we get great production from our bench, which is something we desperately need on the Nuggets, which makes this news a little bit worrying. This is coming out of, I believe, Bleacher Report, reporting from news that just broke. But Russell Westbrook reportedly declines $3.5 million Nuggets contract option before free agency. So originally, I think we gave him $6.8 million over 2 years, and this would be the second year of that with the player option. Now, him denying that contract and declining it does not necessarily mean he won't be on the Nuggets next year, which I know sounds a little confusing, but it has to do with whether or not he's going to take that player option year or try and get the veteran minimum from the owners of the Nuggets, the Kroenke family. It's challenging to know exactly how this is going to work. I think Russ saw that his stats looked pretty solid this year playing alongside Jokić. So for him, it does make a little bit more sense to try and get a little bit more money. He has a pretty solid stat line coming off the bench, and he's probably worth, at the very least, the vet minimum. On other teams, he might be worth more than that. So I think he's putting his options out there to essentially put the ball in the court of the Kroenke family and say, hey, if you like what I was doing here, pay me a little bit more, And I think there's a world where I could see that happening 100%, but I think there's also a world where I could see Russ taking a contract somewhere else if some young team really wants a veteran on their bench. But I think you also need to understand the championship mentality of Russ, a guy with no ring, but an MVP trophy and a ton of crazy seasons under his belt. I think he wants a ring, and I think he knows that the Nuggets are probably his best chance to get one with the remainder of his years here in the league, playing with Jokić especially. Now, the thing that kind of throws a wrench in this whole equation, I would feel really comfortable saying I think Russ is going to be on the Nuggets next year with a better contract, except for these rumors right here. These are what really worries me. Russell Westbrook's chances of leaving NBA for Europe just became more likely. This is just a headline from Sports Illustrated, but it's based on a tweet from a reporter overseas talking about Hapoel Tel Aviv, the EuroLeague team from Tel Aviv. They're a pretty large European team in terms of fandom, and they have won a championship, I believe, in the last 5 years. I think Patrick Beverley even went over to play with them last year, if I'm not mistaken. They're a pretty large team, and from the rumors swirling around this, he is expected to be offered an enormous contract from them. Why would they do that? Well, Russell Westbrook is one of the most popular players internationally in the NBA. He has fans all over the world, and it has to do with the fact that I believe basketball was breaking into a lot of new markets around the time he had his infamous crazy MVP seasons that we all remember watching and loving him for. So there are a bunch of fans who really look at Russ as their guy and would love to see him in the EuroLeague, and I think Tel Aviv's team is just trying to take advantage of that. But here's the tweet from a Serbian basketball reporter that originally brought up these claims. Hapoel Tel Aviv has made an initial contact with former NBA All-Star Russell Westbrook. I'm told the Euro Cup champions are planning to make him an offer with a salary never seen before in European basketball. That is, again, hard to say no to if you're a guy like Russ who's coming towards the end of his career. Definitely still wants to win a championship in the NBA, but you got to look at these stats. 13 off the bench, 5 rebounds a game, around 6 assists. That's really solid for a guy off the bench. And while I do think he could easily find that vet minimum contract in the NBA, he now has this decision to make whether or not he wants to put, does he want to try and put the rest of his time behind getting a championship with the Nuggets? Or does he want to try and sign with Tel Aviv in the EuroLeague, move on to that last step of his career, and make a ton of money? I mean, good question. I don't know the answer. I'm not inside Russell Westbrook's head. Personally, I imagine him wanting to go for the championship. I think that means more to him right now than the money would. But if the offer on the table is high enough, I could 100% see Russ going to the EuroLeague, and that just has to do with how much money they're offering. I have seen some tweets estimating like the 150 million 4-year number, and that's a crazy contract to be offering a guy like Russ. But again, you have to think about the international fans that he pulls into a stadium. So it could go either way. Personally, I would be very okay with Russ staying on the team. I think he brought in a lot of really good guard help, a lot of energy from our bench. And when he took that bench role, I really liked the way he was playing. He was making the right pass on a lot of possessions that he used to just jam at the hoop and hope for a foul. That he doesn't have that MVP whistle anymore. He's not going to get all those calls. And so there's a lot of these, throwing up a shot and then looking at the ref like, why aren't you making that call? And it's like, dude, you're our bench point guard. You're not going to get those calls anymore. You don't have that star whistle anymore. So does that mean that it is easier for him to play over in the EuroLeague? Maybe. Regardless, though, I don't think he gives two craps about winning a Euro Cup title or anything like that. I think genuinely he is now weighing the benefit of a large contract that's going to pay out, but it has no, grand stature to it, or staying with the Nuggets at a vet minimum contract and hoping that he can win a championship in the next 2 years or so. Do I know what's going to happen? Obviously not. I'm not a wizard. I have no crystal ball. But what I do have is incredibly good basketball takes, and this video was filled with tons of them. I mean, but what do you think? Do you agree with my very good takes, or do you think I should be sent to the EuroLeague contract and start working on Tel Aviv time? I don't know. Either way, join the community down below. Leave a comment. Let us know what you're doing. Like the video. Subscribe. My name is Stuart Hicar, and this has been another perfect video. Just a 10 out of 10. But until next time, go Nugs.